Only in the leap from the lion's head will he prove his worth. It's impossible. Nobody can jump this. Ah!
Indy! Indy, you must hurry! Come quickly!
It's a leap of faith.
You must believe, boy. You must believe.
Hey, welcome to the Bible Bootcamp Podcast. I'm Jeff McDaniel.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is episode 5. We are talking about nighttime driving, Indiana Jones, and the leap of faith. We're going to try to cover all those things today. First off, I want to set the scene for where you and I are in our life as of right now. And this is, by the way, we're recording this Labor Day weekend. It is the, I keep wanting to say official. It's not the official end of summer. That's like September 21st. But Labor Day weekend kind of signifies the end of summer, start of fall. And it also means you're back to school. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about like your overall vibe of school so far. You're a couple weeks in. And I keep forgetting, this is not your first year teaching.
No.
Not your second. What did we decide you were?
Well, this is my 15th year in education and my 5th year as a counselor.
So 10 years in the classroom, 5 years as counseling. And we're going to talk about this later on, the counseling part. Like, I'm learning so much about what an elementary counselor does. A lot to that. But I want to start this, and we're going to come back to this at the end, but it's this concept of nighttime driving and how, think about this. When you drive, you can, in daytime, you can see all around you. You can see to the left, you can see to the right, you can see way down the road, you can see above. Using your rear view mirror, you could see behind you, okay, but don't turn when you're driving. That's not safe, but you can see in 360. It's a panorama. At nighttime, you can't. At nighttime, you can't see anything to the sides. You can't see behind you. You can't even see a mile down the road. You only see, quote, what the light illuminates right in front of you, 25, 30 feet. That's it. And so you move forward, letting the light reveal your path. And I was thinking about this, and I'll get into me in a second, but back to you. So, counselor. And one of the things that has just been revealed to me just by listening to you each day is this world of Jimmy Brown Elementary. These kids, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different struggles. They come in there. It's a microcosm of society. We're talking broken homes. We're talking dysfunction. We're talking heartache. Sometimes, many cases, loss of life in their family. And their little lives are just unraveling right before you.
Right.
You don't know when you leave out of here what you're going to be faced with.
Nope.
But this is the trusting part that you have to, in your version of nighttime driving, God just reveals what you're going to see that day. And he gives you, and you're trusting, your manna for the day, your daily bread for that day. Jessica, here is your daily bread to handle the events and the kids and the drama that you're going to deal with that day.
Right.
That's trusting. And you've had, without going into details, give the people like an example of some of the things you deal with these little, from kindergartens to 5th grade, right?
Right, yes. Well, kids have a plethora of problems, just like grown-ups do, but kids are still learning how to deal with problems and handle them and that's what I'm there for, is to help guide them through how to handle life problems and to give them someone to be an advocate for them. And, you know, kids these days do have way more challenges than what kids had when I was a kid. There's just a lot going on in the world, and kids are very much affected by it. It's really sad, but a lot of kids come from broken homes. A lot of kids come from some sort of dysfunction. There's a lot of abuse that goes on. There's just a lot of, you know, even just kids who just have never been taught to value themselves or have a lot of hope that's going on, like, in their lives. Like, they feel very defeated. Yeah, it's hard to talk too much about it because, you know, everything that the kids say to me is private, but so I can't say too much. But the things that they deal with, the conversations, like one conversation I had with a boy this last week, he just felt defeated in life, and he felt like, and his words were, I have a horrible life.
And he's like 7 or 8 years old.
Well, yes. I mean, there's multiple cases, but this specific one was an older kid. But anyway, there's just a lot of challenges that kids face, and I don't know what it's going to be like when I walk into the school at 7:45 in the morning. Sometimes there are kids waiting for me with just, you know, needing someone, and so God gets me through each day. He provides me, like you said, what I need each day to help them. I don't know some days how I get through the things that I get through in school. And all I can say is that it's just a supernatural help that I have that comes from God.
And that is a great segue. This supernatural help means it's not natural, it's supernatural. And that gets into this. You were showing me the clip from Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. Great movie, by the way. And you were talking about him. We were trying to decide whether he steps onto a path or steps onto a bridge.
Right.
And he's taking this, quote, leap of faith. Right? Now, I've seen that clip like in church youth groups, used as an illustration.
Right.
You know, because his, I guess it's his dad, that Sean Connery, is like saying, son, you must believe.
Right.
You must believe, right? And he's like, he doesn't see anything. He's standing there and he's like, there's nothing there.
Right.
No one can make that jump, and he has to take the step and must believe. Well, and he says it's a leap of faith. All right. That's used within the church. And I was sharing with you, like, the origin of this phrase, leap of faith, comes from, I think it's like back in the 1800s, but there's and I meant to look this up, he's a Danish or Scottish philosopher, and he was using it in reference to Christians. And he was saying, Christians, there's no facts that there is a God. He is, you know, if he exists, he's spiritual, so he's not physical. There's no evidence. Science is physical. We can taste it, touch it, feel it.
Right.
And so believers are taking this, quote, leap of faith, and almost a blind leap of faith, right, into something they can't see or feel. Well, you know, and you know, you've been working on a project, basically some of the things, the storms in your life that you've been going through, and you can talk about this, like, it's real. God and what he did with you in those storms, you don't have to feel it, taste it, touch it, see it.
Right.
You know he's real.
Right. So going back to the Indiana Jones analogy, if you'll go back and watch the film, whenever Indiana Jones is taking that first step onto the invisible bridge, like, he's hoping that bridge is there, if you watch him. But then the shock on his face whenever his foot touches the bridge tells you he wasn't 100% sure. And so that, it kind of tells you that that's not exactly what having true faith in God is. That is, he is hoping that something's there. Like, he is desperately hoping that he's not going to fall down that cliff. But if you go back and watch it, he's pretty surprised whenever his foot actually touches that bridge. So that's not the leap of faith, like you said, isn't an exact great analogy for, what kind of faith we're supposed to have in God.
Right.
And so I've been working on a book, and in this book it's about the storms of life. And I started writing this book because something in my life happened that was very unexpected, and it's like a gut punch, the rug pulled out from underneath you kind of thing. And it was very, very hard year. The first few months were especially hard, but throughout that time that I was going through that hard storm, God did a really great work in me, and he taught me what the true meaning of faith is. My situation didn't make sense. There was no way that I should have felt like I mean, people would look at it and look at my situation, they would say, how could you be so at peace? But I came to a point where I had that peace that transcends all understanding. And all I can say is that it was completely and 100% from God. And I didn't understand how, but I knew my life was going to be okay. I knew that everything was going to work out, and it was a knowing. It wasn't a hope. Like, when I put my foot out, I knew that God was going to catch me. I wasn't surprised the next day, and I wasn't so much surprised whenever God sent me his promise that, when I got that promise he was giving me. It was something I knew was coming. And
you expected the bridge to be there.
I did, and it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it. But that's what true faith is.
Yeah, and it just goes back to this. It's got me thinking because, again, like leap of faith, this started with, I don't want to say not mocking Christianity, but in a sense, putting in a sense to where there's no evidence that there is a God. There's no evidence that the Lord is working in your life. Everything you just described is so real. You were 100% reliant upon him to provide that. As believers, we get our manna or our daily bread each day. As non-believers, think about this. Nobody comes to Christ through a blind leap of faith. They don't, we come to Christ because literally we weigh the odds. And I think it's Luke 14:28. He's talking about this very thing, that doesn't a king before he goes to war calculates the cost, right? Doesn't a man before he builds a tower calculates the cost? And Jesus is talking about you weigh the odds. Even the classic Roman road takes people through to where they're aware the wages of sin is death. Okay, and all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So we are no one's like, I think I'll believe in this mythical Jesus and hope that there's a heaven. No, we weigh the odds, and there's absolute evidence. So the phrase leap of faith somehow migrated into the church. We use it as believers, and like I said, going back to the Indiana Jones clip, that's used as an illustration. You just got to believe. Well, God is real. Jesus Christ is alive and present today, and he's revealed it in your life. He's revealing it to me. I'm going through a transition in my life where, again, I don't know what the future holds. I've been in the fitness game for 20 years. I'm now moving away from that, starting a whole new career. Ministries up in the air, life, home, everything. I don't know what 3 months from now looks like. And I just have to get up each day. And circling back to the nighttime driving, he illuminates today, Saturday, right now as we're recording it. I know today. I don't know tomorrow.
Right.
But it's real though. He's alive and well, and I don't have to. I think we talked about this, but what's interesting is the people in Jesus' day, they could physically touch him and physically see him, and yet some didn't believe. You and I can't physically touch him, and yet we know. We believe. We're not Indiana Jones stepping out. Well, I sure hope there's a bridge there. We know he's there.
Right. And we have something even better than all the things that Indiana Jones relied on. We have God and his promises. He tells us that his plans for us are good. And so even though we can't see what's going to happen tomorrow or an hour from now, we go back to go back to the other podcast we did not too long ago, relying on the promises that he told us and that he's given us. And we know that his plans for us are good. So we really don't need to know anything else.
Yeah.
We just have to trust.
Absolutely. And we put the trust in. Again, one more thing on the Kierkegaard thing. It's not faith without any facts. There's so many facts. And there's so many, there's an evidence. There's an evidence that, nobody should be calling us during our podcast, by the way, okay? There's so much evidence that God is real. That's kind of the point of that. So there was something else I was going to bring up and all, just about the nighttime driving, but that escapes me. But yeah, the big thing here is I just think I'm in a place, we're in similar places in a sense. I don't know where tomorrow holds for me from a life standpoint, and you don't know what you're going to encounter as you walk into the school.
Right.
But we walk by faith, and faith comes from hearing, not by sight, not what we actually see, but it comes from hearing and hearing through the Word of God. So that's a whole other discussion you could get into. But
and one more thing, and remember that God's not guaranteeing that you won't have hard days. Like it says in James, you're going to have trouble in this world, and so, don't expect life to just be happy-go-lucky, but trust that even whenever it is hard, God's still got you.
That is a great point. By the way, sometimes we script this out. We're trying to become more professional. And this is totally unscripted. This is off the cuff and everything. So hopefully this made sense, but it's pretty good. I enjoy, and by the way, there's a part of this, I think, you do a great job. Sometimes, give you a little insight, I'll say, hey, you choose the topic for our next podcast. And she's got a notebook filled of bullet points and it's organized. And I'll be like, well, here's a couple thoughts I'd like to talk about, and let's just kind of riff on that. Both can work, but you're just very organized and detailed. And I'm a little bit, to quote your Julia Roberts quote, fly by the seat of the pants kind of gal, So it's, both work, but I enjoy just kind of coming in and it may drive you crazy not having the organization. I like coming in and having a conversation with you.
Right.
And you said some things here, I didn't know you were going to bring up, and you brought up the whole Indiana Jones analogy, which is perfect. I was talking to her about a leap of faith, and you're like, oh, this is like the Indiana Jones movie and all that.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to say half the time either.
Oh, you got to share before we get off here. You got to share with them, because, all right, so Indiana Jones, if you've seen The Last Crusade, he believes, goes across the bridge, goes into the cave, and I guess that that knight had been there for 1,000 years or so, and he's got all the cups, and he's trying to find the Holy Grail. There's these beautiful, beautiful cups, and I guess the one guy, he chooses the most glamorous one, and Indiana Jones, no, he chooses the wrong one. What's the line?
Well, you chose poorly.
You chose poorly. And I've used that phrase in my life. That's so good.
And then he dissolves, and I've used that analogy in my life. I've had that clip running in my mind of choices that I've made in my life, and I've just kind of seen that clip where you chose poorly.
You chose poorly. Well, and hey, and going back, this is a great analogy. Indiana Jones, it's not a leap of faith, because after he sees that, he looks around and he, quote, weighs the odds. Mm-hmm. Just like we do. Again, nobody comes to Christ through a blind leap of faith. We weigh the odds, we calculate the cost, and he goes through it. He says, oh, it's the cup of a carpenter.
Right.
So he thinks it through and all. So great stuff. We're going to have to put that on our watch list. Go back and watch the Indiana Jones Last Crusade. Great movie. Hey, what's the best Indiana Jones movie? Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade?
Gosh, I don't know. I like all of them.
Yeah, I do too. I see a marathon coming up.
Yeah, definitely a marathon.
Okay, well, that is it. Hey, if you got some thoughts on this, by the way, if you like it, love it, hate it, we hope that you don't hate this. But if you love it, you can share, give us a 5-star rating. And I always joke, you don't lie if you don't think it's good. Don't give us a 5-star. But if you do kind of like it and you put a 3-star, maybe exaggerate and give us a 5.
Yeah, help us reach more people.
Yeah, there you go. And also, you can reach out to us, by the way, through our email address, BibleBootCampLR@gmail.com. That'll be in the show notes below. You can send us topics, thoughts on this, or if you just want to reach out and say, hi, Jessica, hi, Jeff, enjoy the show. And we're going to try to get back to doing this on a weekly basis. But we enjoy sharing, and I like sharing it with you.
I like sharing it with you.
And we did this dog-free today because the dogs were, like, wearing us out. So we had to do a little getaway. But anyway, but we'll be back. You guys have a great Labor Day weekend, and we'll be talking to you soon. Take care.
Bye.